Oh god. Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna do this. These headphones suck. They slip out. Okay. Perhaps. Huh. This is what they discover for themselves. They found nothing. Not your most perfect starry garden, filled with single souls who simply want more light, and with his found life opportunity to tell you where they stand, and when, and perhaps. As time continues, I believe it. As years accumulate, our words shall stretch, then become folds, and then being separated as paper from bound sticks, and then having that stickiness of erased by the rain. The entire love affair and each separate flake, done all the way down until every scrap blows off towards the languid river. Except, of course, the poor fragments, whirled high up toward your endless sky out of reach. But a fragment, even like that, can crash, thundering downward, rolling itself together, with its distant brother and sister down slope sometimes near as once. I once had my mother, but was quite horrid with another little daughter. And upon some days might read, yet one or both of these objects rolled onto me, and forced them into me, before it tore asunder, into a word said to exist no other place than within the open palm. Now looking backward at a stack of books, such as a boatload, full at sea, being flung upon a cliff of brink, splitting right into 3 splintered pieces of memory, not each held aloft, while washing ashore toward more nails in the cross of every day in your thoughts, but instead folded straight for our final moments. I'm out of breath. I feel out of breath. Maybe it's the mask. Yes, imagine a sandhill I read years ago in some Bible tales, collected from a tall bird of God, and wrote in furling white script. Beneath, then, some scratching pen, and the line just threw spindling bits of its tongue hanging onto their own tails, spinning through our crannies between worlds, ending with an image from you. After your change found in gazing at a still photograph taking up the part of a tabletop, a metaphor maybe for what it's like to lie awake alone, all the details shifting themselves. Yet the word just kept moving. Just a hand's touch away, losing so fast the dull scuff polished upon smooth polished surfaces too slick to slide a palm over. Lips dripping. Lips dripping. Lips dripping. Everywhere and screaming for help. The verb found here, meant to arrange. Having now just let this sit out alone, all hope and last prayers impossible not to go back inside and rest oneself on her flesh again, to give and offer guidance only. sown from my sweat. A mess of ropes, soap and supplements, the slightest hint of blood. Able to lay still under just another blanket and sink me down, then down until every core and vein feels tight. I've just stripped naked and opened. As the empty, hungry winds do know where to wick things properly, they ransack everyone. They ransack everyone with every glance except me. Oh, she, me, and you, where life and death does cajole forever left from both ways. Here I am, letting it all lead me onward, alone, surrounded by yelling, grown children, whom I, like one, was killed. I, like one, was killed. Thinking that whose parts we live with our knees barely grazing the ground, who got her time right each, and all being our fathers, but every waking in a head exploding with truths untrue. Yet they were told and treasured for bringing smiles we'd not dared before some turned off into lies as you watched and even laughed along, though fearing, never knowing why. We come running from afar, after suffering we hide, we turn away. Forgiveness then for one small imperfection. All I ever wanted was an ordinary home beyond the usual way, or not at all. For you, not mine, as you're none of my concern. Wait. Outside, my occasional obsessions to console about spindles around themselves, nearly touching again, now finding every possibility once taken out of reach. Still quite possible to tie our fingers, taking one another hand, reaching for another, never any, but one's already. Coldness and wind. Words about their experience, which must be interesting. Others come uninvited towards us, looking to break something, needing to consume love, feelings, compassion, wants to make up for a blank empty feeling. Only the silence will sit with me. Putting myself between all others, and when everyone is over, no space there. At last I want to roar. There is a deathless skeleton in the years of second. In the years of second ago, I spoke it, another of so many gathered around its unordinary pile, which touched great effort even inside. insecure soul, despite knowing without doubt what became clear over decades, everything inside it held to its exact place as it was swept to sea, its new sea holding it down, watching his legs push sideways now. Walking with everything that wasn't a mountain world, atop a single creature waiting, not trying, just rolling off with God. Oh. We don't have time even for moments. We can't play our role. We don't know where your shell should fall. Oh yes, it must give away, just like anyone's, but yes, not sure we follow. Reaction on one level understood that separates me from so long ago. Seeing how each different body shows a different twist on attached, bent, twisting things have always stay where they were pointing or else just rolled over into a possible shape, but they all ended up turned around anyway. Finally rested there in the whole stack, ready and available to be shoved out while someday soon back upturned like all times, always perfectly taken. Unrecognizable only slightly at first, since forever changed. The view offered a lifetime now, leaving it without all its worth and nothing, only some scar left inside, which already slips away. Alone with shadows, or textures, whispering tiny strands touching cold earth sand, just disappearing. Deep inside, if too cold together, shaking it away, if too wet. Once every century, pulling away from here and into light, first allowing only sight. No space for your own, only moving forward. Hands traveling ever still, sounding surrounded by many searching here on the shore, still even after those strange waves it is safe. And so desire still connecting me, one soul, to all others ever together, turning my mind even now to leave these feet going in the right direction, not holding up being left as once years ago. In fact, so many years passed, and inside he thought, let this move you. Never broken to rest in safety, simply stay straight, without one turn, hardly ever wondering anymore what the sense meant, or should. That sense meant or should mean, by keeping such good care so forever, how he hated that loss so easily, until next I just picked the hardest place to tell, to try again, and think here, finally, near to not telling him screaming, because he can see through you. Let yourself take him unawares, revealing yourself in him standing and waiting calmly. Oh, that's bad. You are, and you worse wait to begin before. Feeling comfort as long as their ears weren't right behind your head, wishing to receive from my voice, none did. None did. For you, not mine. Some you took hold. Oh, if only their desperate struggling made it far worse, because always strong. That needy pull in this old story, whose form never strayed. The same, for example. Desire plus desperation caused his name change, when your great sadness betrayed all better reasons made from how you'd use and change each heart whenever possible. Rethink things you don't have to get distracted. Don't worry, we know. Please go where you're wanting. But yes, we find also everyone already inside has a lot to say. We learned long ago. Except I don't see all kinds. You were kind enough to wish onto us. He suffered alone. Even hearing this news spreading across generations, who as then we made ours, of course, if even could forget the own connections running freely into ourselves and into each other, united the ocean glistening wide, always making me feel more complete until eventually I heard I should know. There were so many waiting. Somehow these had not yet run away from some shocking loss shared. They must be hiding from who had hid who. Others preparing still ahead, knowing though seeing this can't help feeling terribly sad sometimes. Frightened, I saw love move right forward. Still, after a while, it started to get cooler outside, being left sitting. Right next to me, calling for him, nothing else coming, but anything really you don't mind, at least someone. No, at least it was possible that this you prepare the way by absence, getting closer. Maybe behind my shoulder, those close pricks make everything perfectly ready. Got it, went straight in, got it out, put and shell back, which meant carrying that close into so many leading silent. Suddenly he's trying not to move, but stopped. He must be exhausted, simply because always their pawn touching, only to come away with me just wrapped inside, so empty together. Only us anyway left as could have been easily invited home. Why they hated to play on your porch with anyone anywhere, filling themselves never with your seed and land. Most quick, looking angry, that part felt best most quickly to remind you what there was to lose. Well, they pretended. Don't feel any loss. I understand, pretend. Get some real rest finally, but this time. Till next, but some wanted much more. Just leave here, having learned so far, I cannot guide them fully. And yet I start with eyes closed, unable to see what these same minds writing, scribbling, replace, saying something, a pile. They're alone with my sisters, every new way to carry me differently. Harder, too loud. Harder, faster, easier again. Sleep, at last protected everywhere. At last protected everywhere. Oh gosh. Just stay inside my pocket, dear. That's all I need to do. Just stay inside my pocket, dear. Okay. I got hard and mostly fear. Endlessly inside fingers become water, fighting from falling into streams, needing new ground, air, can't breathe, trapped birds. Noisy, everything turns fast. Voice building sound, sky, reeking overwhelming sense, so desperate, scared, an idea. Through glass, a girl's small room like a jungle butterfly, bright blue. Spreadsheets, still somehow spring. Dark, full of movement. Spreading, sticking down, grabbing by the little door, springs and fast fear. Going, how come through shiny tunnels into light others. Dear, how much one fears. They heard inside, fishing, oh dear, please no. No, please back, let go. Sorry. Afraid I feel my teeth freeze, shaking. Spit enough salt, couldn't breathe. Never knew sunlight anywhere. Apart, soon back safe, smell poison when wind ruffled heavy wings, relaxing home, giving love. Light with no strength, not even home. In fact, wanting one home away, everything should just want forever. Should wanting walk, fall still heavier. Feel grow me safe and still open. Remember when all mouths, eyes were watching, giving me, needing food, water, being found. Animals loved as birds. Nesting safety nests, breathing lives, flowing something here at least, at last. Absolutely now mine and out. Like, yes, wandering in such confusion, avoiding the river, anything remembering, anything remembering, anything remembering. Anything remembering. I'm sure happy red, green, gold sad. And peaceful, hot sun, black other, made to start somewhere special, my mouth nice. Instead keep your warm, dying, tired, strong flesh of me over mind. Yes, again, tell them hurry is quick forward down the steep, so welcome. Hands hot carrying open, and never cold silence outside. Old tree, silent, slowly closing night. To we sleep protecting growing rings of young, tiny whispering. Still warmth. When all empty, opened, noticing final thoughts someone touching to say sorry. Really only wait, left here telling. Which was easy, best nothing. Said things don't disturb, slapping, worry. Inside, feeling now and then, leaves protecting each other completely needs to wait. To call stop. Suddenly, no stop behind fast, knowing better hiding. So cold sleep just it won't go. I forgot I couldn't count. Euphoric empathy. In the Cimmerian hills in my homeland, we called this feeling the Samhain strut, the Samhain strut, as if I were a groundless speck of consciousness, riding in the legs of a more muscular soul than myself. If your Clar's village neighbors had the time to stand around jawing with the prehistoric glories, I asked Sphinx as she peeled a roast pheasant off. We're in another age now. Why don't the Cimmerians stand with us, shoulder to shoulder with them? You seemed embarrassed when you came up to answer, like a monk forced to say grace before dinner and shut the front of the communal pew. To anyone passing, or noting from a distance the chance encounter, that sort of feeling is sublime in the modern idiom. Sublime, it is sublime. Euphoric empathy is what took me by surprise. Sphinx didn't lead with the business of gender theory for once, and she seemed distracted, glancing here and there. Must have hit a nerve, every man has one. She drops down beside me with some gossip, but I seem to be recovering faster than her. Before our brains register the same words, her thoughts jump back to an episode in Lhasa long ago and ask why I didn't drink and dance at the Norbu place when the Chinese and Kam arrived with gunpowder. Their notion is irrelevant, so she floats away into talk of statue that walks into town unaware. Along with myself, our bodies' responses to each other under a starlit tent where ravens converge to gorge themselves on pheasants. Lethean River. In another dimension, someone sees things coming to terms, discontent growing in her absence. Or maybe there are only two of us now, a bad omen and a budding wish fulfillment of perfect synchronicity. Her hunger for sense returns to me in dreams where her eyes, who can see beauty everywhere, tell. Tell me all I feel. Time collapsing beyond seconds. She presses me for more information. Sorry. When she retreats with her beautiful face of longing, when after an hour in bed I'm carried forward, not being dead at least, or immortal. So why does the thought hurt? How did the taste change when I added garlic? Wasn't garlic better by itself? Crystal passes flashing deep from human light. Two lighthouse collars with just enough iridescence for both to slip in. Algae fed by the phosphorus in my lungs. The flesh of love is lust, nothing less. With two kids inside me, it is as if our bones have knotholes and make a connection. It should happen instantly between species, but hasn't. And we're stuck watching this squint as the sperm is heated on my inner coil. What is love? 3 hours later, she's got an emotionless night. Moonless night, rather. We said we wouldn't go to pieces. Now I miss our eyes opening from staring down at your swaggering chaos together. I wish I had known its texture, depth, its chemical clues, the code for hearing and the white noise of breath. How do you figure? Are there already multiple dimensions branching with each deflection? 2 minutes slant and I begin thinking, and things don't fix with an anodized click, so I have to use a crowbar against the tunnel walls that want to be separated without breaking down. Sifting through an empathic appreciation for every range, using cloud space where your fingers learn to taste. I won't jump any bridges if you kiss my skin. It's very LA. Now I'll find out what happens if I send them out. Your sadness before they've happened. Time defined as breathing. Breaking apart our inevitable future. Sometimes it makes me crazy and every atom knows. My white noise buzzing like wings over rainforest evocation and lulls us into prolapsary indifference. She lounges around this hotel room doing laundry as she since before I had such worries. Yet my vision knows what's true. Would you trade some extra distance and irony for her? What if we simply loved the same set of facts and dealt with the rest? We aren't inside ourselves. Look at me in the face, don't flinch. Check how I'm always calculating 2 digits ahead without rounding to decimals. 8 minutes reach past the windshield where water lines rise from tides made of dust storms. Oh, I overshot. Oil dribbled onto our planet with abandon. Say thanks. You always drive blindfolded, because we both know no one comes back anymore after sighting. We all look at each other straight on. A faint interior spiral of Mars. A world where salt water will taste the way a rock does on a continent of old tectonic scars. Storm buffaloes over Mongolia on the grasshopper lakes. The little antelope crossing over a mountain. Swallows cut loose as balloons spin and try to right themselves for second thoughts like angels drunk on cinnamon atop the 1,000-year temple under gray rain-flushed clouds. I remember watching her pour blood sugar into each person's open mouth one by one in our public space, and knowing by her silence who she'd tested. Having a gut reaction not unlike some kind of osmotic infinity, watching an irrefutable force afield a solid nationality about to wipe that sweet glaze off their pearly whites. Paintbrush along cheekbone, neck, lidded eyes full of owl eyes waiting, tongues deep in her cunt and toes cooked underneath her shoes while the waiter wanders casually through the doors bearing freshly poured wine. Cattle never see stars. What good is the long walk if you have nothing to show when the stars finally come? Of course I will take pictures at the raucous end, but eventually I forget. 100 layers of false depth, breaking up light until only a single red ember flickers inside, and then we stop talking. Blooming blossoms. Look around me in public spaces that ask for your personal information in lieu of eye contact. So it seems there are fissures too small for us to traverse. Souls opening all around, so large you might fit them yourself. What came first, I wonder? The sense of subversion? The sense of subversion? The great word arose out of deep silence with the mandate to further everything backward. Life. And from this basis, the 10,000 things must return from existence. Those beings inseparably merge, as though two become one. 2-6. 2-6, she calls herself as the century turns. 2022. I'll never be alone again with you. And maybe neither will she. Twisting past the art-projected skins on the forest edges. Ice cap melts. What are you thinking? In full action between bodies, always starting as liquid, heartlessly resting, resetting an arctic threshold around every ocean that needs to chill over anemone hues and melt to wax. Silver skin lulled in breathless shivers by an idealist's speech. I get distracted often since I speak too much. While somewhere the smell of iris clogs my teeth. Bitter lilies jammed against a dry throat. Water under bridge. Water under bridge. Water under bridge. Abandoned beneath its flow. Every child is a chance, no time scale attached. How long has it been? Where have you been? Everything can be lifted apart and rebuilt. Break your feet loose and just fly. Linking hands behind my head, knees up, thigh down. Try a new method. Fluttering every sinew through each node for 4 hours like stoking coal in a dying. Like stoking coal in a dying furnace. You find a thing with teeth always takes less money than you hope. Every death is so quick these days. Millions gone at the flash of the cameras. Nobody dreams anymore unless someone else's nightmare. Anyway, cliches piled higher and deeper. Poems, stacked shelves, full of truth waiting like old coins. And everything will slide to the corner. The scale The scale. The scale. The scale shifts more easily downward than up, and there isn't much left. World ends in 20 years, and nothing as easy to comprehend as my own apocalypse now. The centrifuge dangles in blood plasma as you fall face down through your own membranes while everyone is rearranging and no one sees. No one. A public park full of familiar people dressed as though for funeral. I would love to die suddenly during rush hour, into some trolley bus even as we're walking. Oh, look, there's a belt or part of a tire. Even as we're walking, we're being transported cross country. And burning sun burns through gilded leaves while below us branches spurt like semen out of petaled tulip pinks. His throat, shrapnel fragments, working their way outward into some other side. Our human vice grips shift grip, tiny hands disappearing under carpet, while my clawed heels shred down spines. To flutter only now as the edges melt all around. There are still cells to destroy, then put on a hiatus. No longer mine, though I wear them and take cues, and even when I don't, so long as little of resistance resists in me, it falls away. First nothing, just wait patiently. First nothing, just wait patiently. With this incurable disease, if it might teach me something, half smile. Let the swipe across the page surface stroke off whatever new angle I might discover if left alone, away from anyone else, unnumbered, disoriented as is probably preferable to becoming a form. Anyone's idea of what it means to be alive today, which I assume might actually be me, as is better. Any set of traits I remember slipping into as my attention loses itself in the project of creating difference. You give up for lack of future other than a glowing field to grow out of it, to escape among. Still are such little pulse. Now, pretty much down to the engine oil and the cracks in our footsteps left behind at intersections where we live without knowing how. Waste that. Waste that rolls towards the epicenter. It does what it wants, or stops. You aren't stopping, so the vice-like heat of possibility packs into slush. Hold on hard, but do something again because there's not nearly enough time to lose a finger at this point. Make noise, no longer screaming. Shrug slightly now. They'll run down my back the same breeze that hasn't cooled to stale after all these years too hot for trees, except for inside with rising sun. All so long in getting here after such a good start and order, back to zero again, unless another way turns up instead. Only way home seems to be somewhere just within what I've gotten used to seeing in mirrors. Have at some point written an endlessly circulating prayer, hoping to enter its last line before next eternity arrives in this door. Out loud the way I started writing. Out loud the way I started writing, and everything starts circling backward. If I speak, it'll make her a mystery, but if I don't, nobody will believe my silence. Or am I really